Joining me now with more GOP reaction to the Wisconsin judge's arrest is the House Freedom Caucus Chair, Maryland Congressman Andy Harris. Congressman Harris, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Do you think the FBI was right to arrest this judge?
They were 100% correct. The federal law is very clear. No official can interfere with the enforcement of federal immigration law. It's in the U.S. Code. This judge knew full well it's in the U.S. Code and should take responsibility for her actions.
What kind of consequences do you think she should face? Should she be a judge anymore? Do you think that she should face fines, jail time?
No, she absolutely shouldn't be a judge. The bottom line is she aided and abetted a criminal. And became a criminal herself by aiding and abetting that criminal. So again, she should be removed from the bench, and that probably should be the punishment that every judge should get if they do the same thing.
There's an argument there that when you talk about courthouses and apprehending illegal immigrants from courthouses, you deter them from showing up to their own criminal cases, you deter them from testifying in criminal cases against other people. Do you think that courthouses should tread a little differently than other places in the country?
Well, clearly, the reason why ICE has to come to courthouses sometimes is because the prisons don't cooperate with ICE and local sheriffs, local jurisdictions. Look, they have to catch these illegal immigrant criminals wherever they are. If they're in a courthouse, it's in a courthouse. Wherever they are, they should capture them and send them back home.
One of the major initiatives also in the president's first 100 days are all of these tariffs and trade negotiations. Here's what the Treasury Secretary had to say about that.
We have a process in place over the next 90 days to negotiate with them. Some of those are moving along very well. Nobody's better at creating this leverage than President Trump. You know, he's shown the high tariffs, and here's the stick. This is where the tariffs can go, and the carrot is come to us, take off your tariffs, take off your non-tariff trade barriers.
It's only been a couple of weeks since these negotiations have been ongoing, but still we don't have any trade deals announced yet. There are a lot of countries on this list. How much time do you think the president has to start completing some of these deals?
Well, we've certainly seen some changes from the foreign countries. We've had trillions of dollars of investments promised into the United States, bringing jobs back home, tens of billions of dollars in the pharmaceutical industry alone, which has, again, left the country to a large extent over the past few decades. This president is bringing those jobs back, and I think the reason is because of the threat of tariffs.
You look at some of this recent Fox News polling that we have out on this when it comes to the economy and jobs. There's some skepticism out there that the tariffs will help the economy. 32% say help, 55% say they will hurt the economy. Jobs at 36%, hurt at 44%. Do you think that the American people have the patience to watch this happen? And people are losing their jobs, or there are issues with manufacturers who aren't getting inputs from across from countries around the world. Could this snowball?
I don't think so. I think what's significant to note is that, yes, some people are losing jobs, but the unemployment rate is basically unchanged. The fact of the matter is this economy is changing. The president is bringing jobs back into the United States, again, getting trillions of dollars of investment from overseas companies to build their stuff here. And that's really, really important for America.
How much of the mix do you think should be not just building items here, but moving manufacturing out of China? Maybe not some of the less higher tech manufacturing to different countries that we're more aligned with or allied with, or as opposed to just bringing all that manufacturing back to the U.S.?
Well, we should bring as much as possible back to the U.S., but if we can't bring it to the U.S., we should bring it to allied countries so that, again, God forbid we have another war or conflict, we're not at the beck and call of China.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that there is a way that the United States can work with our allies to do that, and do these trade negotiations hamper or help that process?
Look, I think they help the process. I think the United States is still the largest economy in the world. It's very important to be a trade partner of the United States. And if part of that deal is either bringing jobs here or not sending some jobs to China, in the case of some of our trade partners, both of those are valuable in the long run.
All right. Congressman Andy Harris, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.